We are here for the Special Olympics Ontario. I'm pressing the page down, there it goes. We all know that we are dedicated to enriching the lives of Ontarians with an intellectual disability through sport. It's why we're all here. Thank you for being part of our virtual volunteer conference that's going over these few weeks as we go from April to May. And it kicked off at the end of Volunteer Week, National Volunteer Week. So we're super glad that to be able to offer this to you and that you've all taken advantage of and coming together for all of these interesting topics. We're going to start our presentation with a land acknowledgement, and we begin by acknowledging that though we are meeting virtually, we are all on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. In particular, we acknowledge that the Special Olympics Ontario office is located on the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. This land is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Covenant between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of Ojibwe and Allied Nations. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work, live, and play on this land. Today's training is all about the membership portal, the self-service membership portal, and we will provide an overview for how program leaders can access and use the self-service membership portal for typical tasks in your role as a head coach or a team manager or as a data administrator for your community. The portal was launched in 2018, and we have all learned a lot together about how this platform helps us organize our community membership information. It's been a learning curve. I heard just the other day from one among you that yes, there's a lot to learn about it, and the more we practice, the more that we can understand and cement and really be able to gain and benefit from what the portal can offer us. Today, some of you may have a device that you're following along on that you can actually do the portal work with, or you can just follow along and view the presentation. And if James says it's been recorded so that you can we can reference it in the future as well. Individual troubleshooting may not be possible. So if you have a personal technical glitch that only applies to you, let us know and we'll try our best, but really, you know, you may have to just continue watching. There will be functions outside of what's presented today, and those can be covered either individually for your role in your community, or we can get your community together with your program leaders and either review this information or present the next steps. We can do that as staff for you in a time that's convenient for your group. And in each section of today's presentation, there is a questions pause. So on that topic that we just covered, you will have a chance to answer questions or to ask questions. So today, what we're going to be focusing on is what community and sport club leaders will mostly use the portal for, which is creating your next club session before the current one expires. We will actually do that. We will submit some enrollments for athletes and volunteers. We will try and do that as well live as we go along today. We will then approve those enrollments and talk about how you can improve self-enrollments for athletes or volunteers who enroll themselves in the portal, similar to signing up for swim lessons with your municipality. The portal can be used for that as well. And we'll learn how we can create reports so that you can have communication lists and attendance lists and things like that. And within the portal, this is a newer feature that was launched since COVID has happened, is that you can track attendance within the portal. And I will say that this is a lot. We do have assigned to us 90 minutes. If we go a little longer, that might be okay. Or if we need to cut it short, then we'll just take the knowledge we've had and move forward with that and come back again individually with anything we weren't able to cover today. So it's loose, it's group pace. So let's get down to the fun stuff. We're going to log into the portal, and I have a second device as well. So I'm going to go the pace that you might go by doing each step as well at the same time. So this is our our icon that we're going to see whenever we have a new task. So let's log into the portal. We're going to start. Some of you might already be in, but we're going to visit portal.specialolympics.ca. And my computer isn't tremendously fast, which might be in everyone's interest, so I'm not speeding ahead. Keeps me slow too. And once you're in portal.specialolympics.ca, you'll see a little login button. Are there still, James, are there still people in the lobby, or is that just popping?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of people who went out and came back in, so I'm just letting you know.
I appreciate you being there, James. Thank you very much. Again, we're going to log in, and we're going to fill in our email, which is our personal email. We don't encourage people to use their Special Olympics assigned role emails, only because those are assigned to your role. So if you were no longer the head coach for figure skating, but you had figureskating.barry@specialolympicsontario.ca, and somebody else becomes the head coach for figure skating, that email will go with them. But here you are trying to get into the portal with an email you no longer have access to. So it is your personal email address that should be what you're coming into the portal for. The next screen is about you. And at the top, you'll see that if you have a participant role, which you probably don't because you're a volunteer, and if you scroll down to your volunteer roles, you can press continue in the role that you came to the portal for today. So if you are the head coach of figure skating, that's what you're going in for. If you're a community coordinator, you're going to be able to go in your community coordinator role and do everything. But if you want to focus on one club, you can focus on one club. And if you're the head coach or team manager. But if you're the data administrator for everybody and you're not a coach, then you're just going to go in as your data administrator. So I'm going to go in as the head coach for Barry's Snowshoe Club. That's how I'm going to continue. So on the next screen, here is where you will manage your club's memberships. And you'll see on the right 2 menus. The blue menu at the top is about you. So you can look at your profile, you can update your address, you could submit a new enrollment. If you want to be a volunteer for a different club in your community, you can do that. If you end up logging out of the portal, you can just go back in and log in. So the pink menu below that, that's where you're going to have the options to do what you want to for your club. Oh goodness, we've logged into the portal. That was the first task. Does anybody have any questions? You can chat them into the type them into the chat, or raise your hand, and James can monitor those so that I don't have to leave my screen.
If anybody has any questions, just put your hands up or type them into the chat. There was 1 or 2 people who just joined. Oh, is Margaret raising her hand, or is she just waving? No. All right. No, I think you're good there, Helena.
Okay, so we've all logged into the portal, which is great.
Hang on a second. Yep. One question here. It says I don't have the pink points. Oh, I don't think that's not here. It's all good. It's a different chat. It's all good. Yeah.
So our next task, the thing that we start with first, is creating a session. So let's talk a little bit about sessions. A session is the annual instance for the sport club. Within your session information, you'll find the start and end date of the program. You'll find your schedule, which could be Mondays at 7 p.m. at the rec center, or at the Barry Rec Center, right? You might have registration information, including how much it costs to join that club, or if you need specialized equipment. And your enrollments are attached to a session. So whoever is involved in that club during that season is going to be listed. So sessions is something that we've come to determine, is that sessions are best organized on an annual basis. So all sessions are consistently dated, and this is just happened this past winter. All sessions will be dated from September 1st through August 31st. So whether you are an alpine team that practices in the winter, whether you're a track team that runs in the summer, your whole session is going to be from September 1st to August 31st each year. Coaches can have access to their sport club information all year round. Special Olympics will have access to current club information all year round, because perhaps someone was looking for an alpine program in October, but your session wouldn't have started till December. They might not be able to find you, and we might not be able to have statistics on you. So again, September 1st through August 31st is the annual session date for all sport clubs. Communities and clubs, i.e. the head coach or the team manager or the data administrator, will create the new set of sessions by the August 31st expiry date each year. So before August 31st, when your session is coming up to be, it will go inactive after August 31st, it will expire. You will be creating the new session. The sport club sessions can be duplicated by Special Olympics Ontario upon request for larger programs. We also did a duplication upon request for all programs this past year because it was kind of a new concept, and we were a bit overwhelmed with all the COVID things that were going on in our lives. So Special Olympics Ontario made this happen for you if you requested it, to duplicate all of your session. The most exciting thing that anyone who's been using the portal is going to be super excited about is that a sport club session duplication tool is being developed for everyone to use. So even if you're a head coach, so stay tuned for that. We don't have the details on it yet. We know that it's in development. But for now, it's up to us, for most of our clubs, to create a new session. We're reviewing. So let's look at what the current session looks like. So let's go back to where you were in the portal, and this is your role landing page. So you've already told the portal that you're there for what role you are. I'm the head coach for Barrie Snowshoeing. So I'm going to click on Club Profile in the pink menu. And I'm going to wait for my computer to catch up to me. And you'll see across the top you have 3 tabs. One for club details, banking information, and club sessions. So click on the club sessions tab, and you'll see that the expired sessions are there and your current session is there. And if you look at the start date, you'll see September 1st to August 31st from 2020 to 2021. So we are within our active session. And if you click on the little pencil icon beside your beside the name of your club, you'll come up with a window of program session details. Okay, you can scroll down and you'll see maybe your capacity. You'll see if you had put in a registration fee amount. You'll see a schedule that shows what day you are, where you are. And further down, you'll see session enrollments. So you'll see the names of your members, and there's a spot there where you can even export it to Excel and have a quick, useful list, a very quick list. So let's close this club session details window, and we are going to create your new session for September 1st. It's a little bit early, but this is what we have the capacity to do at this point. So we're back at our sessions window, and in the active sessions, there's a button called Add. So you're going to click on the Add. And there's a number of things that you can fill in there. If you are in for the program that you are the head coach or team manager for, that's what you're going to have. So actually, did I skip a step for for data administrators and community coordinators? If you go in for that, I'm going to hold on 1 second because I want to make sure that everyone's keeping up with us. So I'm just going to go back.
If you are, just I'll take that break for just a second. Sheila asked, will the tool be ready before August 31st? Do you know the answer to that question? I'm pretty sure it will, but for Canada actually might know.
We are working on that, and it is still under construction. We have not started, testing. So hopefully we are trying to have before it, but if not, but for sure it will be in September.
Right.
But
okay.
there is no deadline provided to us.
Okay, so the goal is to try to have it ready for before August 31st so that we can use it for the September session. Helena, that also reminded me that we were quite remiss in not introducing Farkhanda Shahid, who is of course the brains behind the database management at Special Olympics Ontario. So that's the voice you just heard. When you put stuff into chat, if the question is technical, Farkhanda's just helping out. So I know John, I think she's helping you log in there. So which is great, but just know that she's here, and we're very grateful that she's here as well. So that's Farkhanda. Hello, Farkhanda. And there was one other question. Sorry, it was Laura, if you want to unmute your microphone. I'm not sure I quite understood the question. It says only council role, not activity head coach. For virtual activity is not.
Yeah, so hi, James. So I was set up as a coach for our virtual program. We've restarted another session, so to go in but now that role isn't present on my portal profile. Only the treasurer role on council is.
Oh, I see.
What's the name of this volunteer? Sorry, full name?
Oh, Laura Woodall.
So you're not seeing both of your roles is the comment.
No.
Right. And you weren't allowed to select them either?
The only one in my pink session when I go there for my roles is the council one.
Right. Okay. So Farkhanda, maybe if you want to just look up Laura Woodall, it's possible that one of your roles expired and that just needs to be reset. So that's not a problem. Okay.
Is this Laura?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it expired yesterday.
Okay. Let me activate it. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. And then okay, so that's an easy one.
Oh no.
And then finally, in terms of your last question there, Helena, Karen Maloney asked if you can repeat how to get to the current session page. Oh, actually, I think Farkhanda answered that question. She said, select the club profile from the pink menu.
Right. And if you are logged in, this is where I had to back up, and I've come back to the role landing page after you've selected your role. So if you see on your screen, if you're a head coach or team manager, the arrow is pointing at club profile. If you are a data administrator or a community coordinator, that option is going to be clubs. And then when you click on clubs, a list of your clubs will come up, and then you can click on the pencil beside the, maybe the Durham Falcons, and you can click on that pencil, and that's the club that will come up. And then you will be at this page where you can see your club details, your banking information, and the club sessions tab. So again, if you are a database administrator or a community coordinator, when you come to the pink menu, you're looking for clubs, you select your club with the pencil, and then you'll come into where you can look at the session. I do apologize for not remembering that, but for the head coaches and team managers, you will only have access to the one club that you came in with your role on the red button at the beginning. Okay, so hopefully we're all back where we can be. So we're I have to go back to being a head coach. I'll just do it from here. Clubs. So now I'm being the data administrator for Barrie. Isn't that fun? So I'll do clubs and Barrie Snowcats. Snowshoeing. And I'm going to do the club sessions tab. And I'm going, so here I am, I can add a session. and we've got our 5 arrows to fill in what it is that we're doing. So the program is like the sport. The session status. For Canada, should we put new or active if we're doing it ahead?
Okay, let me, one sec. If we are activating right now, it's better if they do the new one, because I can do bulk update all the ones in one shot.
Okay, so for today, we're going to call it a new session.
Yes.
Okay, so your session status will be new, but if this is August and you're coming up to the time where you're making your new session for the subsequent season, you could put active there. Yes, Farkenda?
Yes.
Yeah, so for now, we'll just put new. Our start date, and you'll win a prize if you already know this in your head, is going to be September 1st, 2021. Our end date is going to be August 31st, 2022. So again, this is the subsequent session from September 1st to August 31st for the 21-22 year. You can add in capacity. You can, but for now, we're going to say, is it active for portal registration? You're going to say yes, because you want to register someone within the portal. So you have to say yes there if you'd like to add registrants to it, which is part of the exercise today. So, so your session status will be new when the time, or will be new today and active if you're doing this later in August. We're reminding September 1st, August 31st. You're available for portal registration, and just scroll down and hit submit. Don't worry about your schedule. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So submit. Oh, I think it has to be new for Panda.
Yes.
Or sorry, does it have to be active if we want to continue to add to it?
Okay. First, we have to create the session, and this session, whether it is active or new, we have to activate it from backend. Sessions have to be activated, approved by DBA or by the program consultant.
I didn't think they had to be.
No, otherwise they cannot access to add the enrollment. It is all the time.
Okay.
Yes, we have to approve or they have to wait overnight, and if the start date past date, the system will automatically activate it. But they have to wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying make all the sessions new, because on the back end, I have a view for the new one, and I will select all and I will activate all of them.
Oh, I see. So you can do that right now.
Yes, I can do
That's why we brought you here, Farkanda.
Thank you.
Thank you. If
Helena,
everyone,
we're only seeing the slideshow. We're not actually seeing your screen right now. So if we're supposed to see your screen, you need to just
No,
share. Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm doing it like everyone else. It's offline.
Oh, I see. Got it.
And
Okay.
yeah. So I'm just playing around with a few things as Farkanda was talking. So if everyone just takes a moment, Farkanda, if everyone who made a session clicked submit, then Farkanda is going to approve them all.
Currently, I can see 11 new sessions.
How many?
11.
Okay. So hopefully everyone, yeah.
So I am just approving these right now. When other will come along, I will do it.
Okay. So that means that we have 11 people who are actively creating and submitting sessions.
Yes.
So just while people are doing that, Sheila asked a question. So today we select new, right? Because we're working through this together. But if we create in August, should we select active or new? That depends on whether or not the session's duplicated or not, right? For Canada.
No, it doesn't matter. They can select anything. Only the difference between new and active, if they will select the new session, they will not see on their active screen, and they will be thinking, oh, we have not created a new session, and they will start over again.
Right.
If they will create with the active, though it is not approved yet, they will be able to see in their active screen.
Got it. Does that answer your question, Sheila?
So, so Farkanda, so did you approve those 11 sessions?
Yes, I am just, my screen is slow little bit today. I don't know why.
Okay.
So I'm just doing right now.
Okay. So if you let us know when that's ready, and then we can chat.
Sure.
Because yeah.
And one other question, which was, if the form is read-only for your role, does that mean you can't add a new session? I'm listed as the head coach in this particular club.
If the form is listed as read-only.
Repeat again, please.
If
At the top of my page, there's a red bar and it says this form is read-only, and I don't see an ad on top of active sessions.
Oh, okay. So your role is assistant coach, not the head coach.
Okay, it is listed as head coach, but maybe on the back end there was an error.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So if we need to correct that, then just let us know and we can correct that particular role. It's probably
no, we can. Okay, so assistant coach are on read only.
No, I understand. For Canada, all I'm saying is that if she's supposed to be the head coach, she can let us know, and then we can make that change. Sure. Tracy Thomas has your hand up.
Yes, I did. I just have a really quick question that's very specific to me. When I'm in my active sessions, I'm the head coach for golf in GDSO, and it's showing 2 programs, both with the start date of September 2020 and August 31st, 2021. Why am I seeing 2?
Let me check the back end.
Yeah, that might be specific to your program. So if it is, we'll take a look at that, and we'll can send you a message.
I just didn't know whether I needed to be using one or the other, or if there was something that I was missing there.
Please, can you type in your club name in the chat?
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Sorry, Helena, go right ahead.
So I'm just wondering if we'll just wait for a moment and see that all the sessions were approved. I'll check mine. Oh, yeah, so I see mine now. So for those 11 people who had their sessions submitted for their new session, again, if you go back into looking at your clubs and selecting the club that you're working on today, and you click on the session tab, does anybody not see their new session with the start and end date of 2021, September 1st to the August 31st, 2022? Does anybody not see that? Okay, so we're going to click on the pencil beside that. We're coming back into the session. Again, we see the start and end date. It's available for portal registration. And we go down to the session schedule. And further up, there was a general box. And a lot of people will just type into there, Thursdays at 7 at the Barrie Recplex. But here we can add the session schedule, which will actually fill in the fields that will allow the program to be searchable in the program database. So from the session schedule, you press add. You can add the facility. Which should already be in there if you haven't moved facilities. All of our facilities are in the database. So I started typing in that under facility. I just started typing my facility and it came up. So I started typing Sunnydale and it came up as Sunnydale Park. I also see Sunnydale Golf, so I don't know where that is, but that's not my facility, it's somebody else's. All the facilities in the province are listed in there. If you have a facility that's new or you change to a new facility and it's not in there, You can add your facility. We're not doing that today, but that is something you can do. So just let us know. And you'll select your day of the week. You will select your start time and your end time. And then click submit. Okay. And then when you come back to your session and scroll up a little bit, you'll see that your session is there at your park or your facility, at your day of the week, at your start and end time. And that properly fills in the fields for your session schedule. So it's not just typing it in. Okay, so how's everyone doing? Are there any questions about sessions? And if anybody is following along and wasn't able to create their new session for their sport club, let us know and we can try and troubleshoot that. It's pretty quiet out there, James, yeah?
Hi, it's Sheila Hainsworth.
Hiya.
I have a question. I'm new as the database coordinator and fairly new to our clubs in Milton, so I don't know all the dates and times and locations. So is there a way to easily find out what the days and times and locations were for last year so that I don't have to look them all up one by one?
Yeah, so when you were back at your role, oh, maybe it's a report. For Kanda, I don't know, maybe can you help answer that?
Okay, I need a question again because I was busy with someone else.
Sorry.
So Sheila.
Hi, Farkanda.
Hi, Sheila, yes.
So as you know, I'm kind of new, so I'm just wondering when I'm setting all these clubs up, I know when curling and golf are because I volunteer with those, but I don't know for basketball and soccer and all those, what day they run and where they are. Is there a way of quickly, or a report that shows for all the clubs, the active clubs in Milton, where they are and what times?
So you can create session anytime, but if you are not aware of, like currently we are not doing in-person program, so you can leave it blank. You can come back and add anytime this session schedule and facility. It is not mandatory that you have to create when you are creating new sessions.
Right, but when I create them for the fall, and I create, let's say, I don't know, basketball, I don't volunteer at the basketball club. So instead of me going in and looking at each one of them, is there a report that shows where they were before?
Yes, there is a report when, okay. So I have to double check because we have 9 reports in the portal. So I have to check which will show you the session schedule and facilities.
And also, I was just clicking around, and if you go right back, I don't want everyone to do this, but I'll explain it because I don't want you to lose your spot where you are if you can't come in quickly. But if you go back to the very start of the portal website, and there are 4 options in the upper right. There's to go home, there's our programs, there's registration, and there's login. And if you go to our programs and you simply put in Ontario and Milton, don't be specific with your date, with your sport or day of the week. And so I see here that the Milton Makos swim team is on Milton Leisure Center Saturdays from 2:30 to 3:30. Okay. I see that the Milton Flying Eagles curling is at the curling club Wednesdays 4:30 till 6. The rest of the other 7 don't have a schedule added. And that's what we just did. We just did the schedule where we added the facility, day, and time. So when someone searches programs, this is where they're going to see that. So even for yourselves, if you need a quick list to remind yourself of what's in your community, Farkanda will let us know if there's a report. But for a quick list, at the homepage of the portal, just click Our Programs and choose Ontario and choose the community, and then those will come up.
I see that. That's great. Thanks. I'll reach out to all the club managers and ask them to give me the information, and I will update it so that we'll have it going forward.
And,
Awesome.
and even if you're tied doing that housekeeping, you can go into each of the sessions now and
Right.
add schedule.
Yeah, I will do that. because now I have time to do some of this stuff.
Right.
So Helena, just to
Yes.
add to that, what I did as a data administrator is for all the sessions is pull that out of each session, like you were mentioning, into a spreadsheet. So I have that to copy and paste when I
Yeah.
get back to it. So that's one way of doing it.
Great
Yep.
idea. Thank you.
Darlene Halchuk has her hand up.
Hi, Helena and Farkenda. I just have a question. Can you do a bulk entry of all your clubs to update the sessions instead of doing each one individually?
Unfortunately, not right now. But as you say that we are talking about the session duplicator tool, which will be provided to the all communities. There will be an option. You want to duplicate one program of your community or all. So please stay tuned. It is coming along.
So should we at this point wait for that to come along, or should come August just do it individually?
I'm pretty sure by August that tool will be available. I would say please wait till August 15. If it is not available, then I will be sending a mass email to everyone. Please go ahead and create your session. If the tool is available, then that will be available. You can do the bulk duplication.
And my second question is, we always have new head coaches rolling into roles. How do you go about changing the club contact within each of the various sports with new head coaches? Because sometimes they're there for a year, maybe 6 months. How can that happen?
Okay, currently you have to send me email to update the club contact information. SOC is working on that, but I'm not sure what the timeline is. We are providing facility to update their club contact, either by data admins or head coaches can do it. But currently this facility is not available on portal. Everyone has to send me email or your program developers, district developers. They will be able to do it from back end.
Okay, thank you.
That was actually a really good question because that club contact used to be an important field in the old database, and it's slightly different this time. So so that's an excellent question. If you see the club contact, that does need to be changed manually by staff in the back end. So thank you, Farkenda, for answering that. Are there any other questions on creating sessions?
That's all you got.
Great. So now on to some fun stuff. We now have a session for next year. I know it's a little early, as Farkenda said, we would typically be waiting till August, but for now, let's add an athlete and a volunteer to our enrollments of that session. Each member, just as a reminder for everyone, each member is enrolled at the following levels. They are enrolled with their chapter, which is Special Olympics Ontario. They're in the membership database under Ontario. You might also, you're also affiliated with your district and you're part of your own community. Here I've gotten the example of Barrie. You are with your club program, which is the Barrie Snowcat Snowshoeing, and you are in a session, which is would be the current one. So that's the level where everyone's registered at, and you are taking care of your, right now we are going to add to the session of our program in our community. So for your role, head coaches can add any member, an athlete or a volunteer that has ever been involved with that club. So if you have someone in your club that snowshoed with you 5 years ago and they haven't come back for 5 years, but they come back next year, you can add them. The community district administrator can add any member that has ever been registered in the community to any club in that community. So if a soccer player wants to start doing snowshoeing, your data administrator can add them in. If you have a member that's joining a club from outside your community, please reach out to your program consultant or your district developer to help you add that person. because even your data administrator can't grab someone from Collingwood to add to your Barrie snowshoeing. Okay, so that's just a reminder of the roles that you've come in with today. So if you are a data administrator and a head coach, if you want to come in as a head coach just to work on your snowshoeing, but if you have someone from another club, you want to come in as a data administrator, and you can do that yourself if you have that dual role. So our member roles, we can have athletes and unified partners. Okay, those are the participants. So who's participating in the sport? For us, 99% of the communities, it's the athlete. Unified is something that we hope will grow, and some of you may have attended the session on unified programs the other night. So that's an exciting thing on the horizon, but for now, usually our participant role is the athlete. There are volunteer roles for the club that we will add to each session. If you have an assistant coach or a head coach, they fall into a category of coach. If you have a team manager, they are in the category of sport. If you have a program volunteer or an occasional volunteer, somebody who you might have on the roster because they are registered, but maybe only come when you go to competitions or for events, they are going to be listed under the program category. So that's important to know that there are categories for your volunteers as well. So we were going to start with the volunteer enrollments. We have some examples of clubs where the athletes were all added and somehow we forgot how important our volunteers are to our clubs, and then there's no one to manage the club. So we're going to start with the volunteer enrollments, and I recommend that you start, you would normally start from the top down, adding your head coach, your team manager. So today you can add yourself, or you can add an assistant coach just for the sake of the practice. So back to your role landing page, and if you ever aren't sure where you are in the portal, up at the top left, you can just click home and it'll take you back to, I'm going to do that now, it'll take me back to the original page where I can log in. I don't have to put in my password and username again, but it just brings me back to my roles in case I got into a window where I didn't know where I was. So that's just a trick.
One more tip. You don't have to go to the home screen. Just click on My Roles in the blue menu. You will be there.
Oh, okay. There you go. And my computer's cycling a little bit, so we'll wait for me to catch up. So when you get into your role and you have your blue and your pink menu, you're going to click the pink menu option for Add Volunteer Enrollment. And here you'll have the club volunteer option. And again, for your program, you might know who's already in your program, and you know you want to add John Smith or James Smith, and you can start typing, just start typing their name in that pull down menu bar. And when the name comes up, you can select it and click next step. I had to restart my screen over here, so I'll catch up in a minute. So again, you just start typing the volunteer's name, they will come up, you select it and click next step. So I chose, in this case, it was my husband. He's a registered volunteer, so I got him at the top, and further down, you're going to see, click add beside the club name and category and role window. Oh, because I guess he was in a few. Add beside the club name.
Just click on the add
This
first.
must have been, I was a data administrator. So click the add button. And then a little window comes up. And the category for the program, the category is program, and his organization role is program volunteer. And then you'll click next step. When I'm not going live, I sometimes forget where I am. So I'm going to try and get back in. And then when you have those, the category and the role, you can press confirm. And you'll go through a couple of steps of reviewing the member's profile. If they change their address, if they change their phone number, you can update these things as you go along. Then next step will be the enrollment details, and you can simply view and make sure that everything looks correct. And then the next step is to submit the enrollment. And at that point, you should get the window that talks that the application has been submitted. So hopefully that's what you see there. Is anyone caught up with the submitting a volunteer enrollment that has a question? No.
Sorry,
Okay.
got a little sidetracked there. Hold on, you do have a question. Sheila said she asked Pratima about the difference between sport volunteer and program volunteer, and my club is still not entirely clear. Does anyone have any suggestions about what role they normally use? Helena, do you want to?
Well, I mean, if there are a few people on this call themselves who could also answer. So if I'm going to give my version, and then if anyone has a recommendation on this, if you have someone who's coming in as a sport volunteer, maybe it's because they have a background in the sport and they're doing more about, like say for example, it's a swim team and they are helping the athletes technically, like it would be closer to a coach, but maybe they set up the equipment, something like that. Whereas the program volunteers, maybe someone who comes, they act as an extra chaperone within your coach athlete ratio. They're assisting the athletes in non-sport specific tasks. Maybe again, just like a chaperone type role. So it just depends on how you feel they fit in. Does anyone have any other insights on why you would choose a sport volunteer versus a program volunteer?
It's Sheila. Sorry, that helped. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps out a bit. The reason, again, I'm new and I was reviewing the enrollments and most of our people were registered as program volunteers. I was registered as program volunteer for golf, but sport for curling, but I essentially do the same thing. I help the athletes, curl or golf and give, that type of thing. So I think based on your definition that I need to change all of our enrollments to sport volunteer.
I would. Yeah, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a background as to where those role titles kind of came from, and that might help a little bit. Which is that you have to remember that when we had the previous database, everything was very specific to the individual like chapters, right? But the new system, we had to consolidate, and I'm not even making this number up. I think there were like 97 different variations on names for different roles across the entire country. It was something absurd. It actually might have even been more than that. And so what they tried to do, which I applaud actually, was that they tried to consolidate things down into things that made sense, like as large groups across the entire country. So what that allowed us to do, for example, is when we're trying to pull data, and we had this problem in Ontario as well. We had some people who were data administrators, some people who were membership coordinators, some people who were and so when we had to pull statistics to say this is how many people are doing this, it was very difficult to do that, right? And so that's where the idea of a program volunteer came in, because you had coaches that were registered coaches, right? And that had done their NCCP, and that was like sport. And then you had program volunteers who were volunteers within a program that might not have their coaching certifications, and that's how those two roles kind of came in. I think sport volunteer was created not because of Ontario, but because other chapters were saying we don't we have to be able to distinguish between people who are program volunteers in a sport program versus program volunteers who are doing like administration. That's the reason for that, right? For us, we're going to treat those statistically the same, right? And so that's realistically how that's going to go. The only thing that we would ask is that you do it consistently within your community, right? That's all. Does that make sense?
So I'm also the database coordinator. So I have a role that says I'm the database coordinator.
Correct.
And that's why I thought that I would be and that we wouldn't use program coordinator unless it was something
Yeah,
like.
no, you're right. But like as an example, we used to have 9 or 10 different titles that all meant database coordinator.
Oh.
So we consolidated that down to one, right? And so the problem was program volunteer was just a little too generic, and people wanted something that was a little bit more specific that could encompass any sport role within the sport. So like if you had I actually don't know what you would use it for, but like if you had a lines person or somebody who was helping out like with equipment or things like that, that wasn't necessarily administration. That was the thinking behind it. Like I said, for us, it doesn't actually matter. We just need you to be consistent about it. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I like the definition that was given, so I think
Sure.
I'm gonna make most of our people sport volunteers, unless
Awesome.
my the coaches tell me anything different. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No problem.
And those kinds of questions as well. And some communities will say, well, we don't actually make people coaches unless they are coaching, or maybe if they have some coach certifications, and until then, we don't call them a coach. So, when does a coach differ from a sport volunteer? When does a program volunteer differ from? So if you're trying to, work your mind through that, again, reach out to your program consultant, and they can also help shed some light on what they're finding even in other communities, so that there is some.
That's what we're doing for, unless you're a coach and you're certified, then we're not giving coach roles.
Okay. And there are some communities who have that approach. So, yeah. So we've submitted a volunteer enrollment. We're going to move on to submit an athlete enrollment now. And so again, back at your pink and blue menu page, you'll have the add athlete enrollment button that you can click. So I'm going to click that as well. And again, here you are with the community participant field, and you can just start typing in the name of an athlete who will be returning to that program in that for the subsequent session. Select the name and then click next step. And my computer is not liking the portal. I think there's too many people on it right now. So good for you. And then it will come up automatically that they're a participant. You'll see that their organization role is athlete, and then you can click confirm, and then click next step. And again, just like with the volunteer, you'll have a chance to review their profile, click next step, enrollment details, confirm what it is that they're going to be enrolling for, and it all looks good. Then you can submit enrollment. Submitted, and then you'll come up with this page where it should say that it's been submitted. So
Helena?
Yeah.
I'm trying to add in a participant. I couldn't add in volunteers, but I can add in participants. And for example, I put in Philip Locke.
Yeah.
But under club participant, I can't take him from the menu because there's nothing there, yet I'm in our ski database. So in the ski database, I have like Jack, Sharon, Eric, live portal trainer, Cody, Glenn, Gary, Faith. So I wonder if I've got the wrong, or if Kathy didn't get them into the portal. I don't know how this is all working because I can't see anybody else from the team.
When you have the pull down previously, when you were at the pull down menu.
For the club participant pull down menu?
Yes.
I should see all the members of the team, shouldn't I?
If you start typing their names, you should. From all members who have ever been in.
Because they're not there.
So this means they were never been added in your club, and they must be registered with your community.
They should have been. Hold on, I'm using a different computer now.
I don't know if I got just a practice one, but like these are all the new ones that have been added, but the old ones aren't there. So I'm only seeing people that have been added in the last 2 years.
Oh, it's possible that the people expired then. That might be a very specific issue with the people in your club. So if that's the case, let's we'll take that one offline, I think.
No, James.
Yeah.
No. is true. The members who expired before the end date of the session, when you do duplicate or when you add members, those stay with the old one as a history. You can only find them when you are adding athletes or volunteers from a drop-down list. If she is looking at the club roster, they will see only the new ones. So we do not bring over the expired ones prior to that date.
Okay.
So she can pull a report from the report, all the expired members, she will get all the members from her club if they ever registered with her club.
Okay, so and you and I can work on that after, and we'll see what the trouble would have been.
Yep.
All right.
We have
Helena?
3 people. We have 3 people with their hands up. So Tay Fun, Tay Fun, if you want to just unmute your microphone there.
Yes. When I click on the add volunteer enrollment, and I also try the add athlete enrollment, I just see a blank screen on the left side. I just have the menu and the blank on the left.
Yeah, I'm noticing a couple of people who have actually made a note of that. For Canada, any thoughts?
Yes, these people, I think they are on the iPad. On iPad, we are not able to do all the portal procedures. So we have to be on laptop or on the desktop.
No, I'm on the laptop running Chrome. It is a Windows laptop.
Does it, for Canada, does that box generate a pop-up?
Okay. So currently what you did, you click on the add volunteer from the pink menu. And after that is a blank screen.
It just displays the menu on the right side, blue and the pink menu, but there is nothing, no form on the left side. It is just blank on the left side of the screen.
Okay.
Mine was like that as well.
Is there any scroll bar there on the side? You can just scroll up because sometimes we are way back on. Okay. So
no, there is a scroll bar, but it is on the top. It says home, add volunteer enrollment. That's the okay. Now it showed up.
Okay.
So maybe is it just too slow?
The portal is just really slow.
Because currently, I think more than 50 members are on the portal, and it could be, and we are doing the same thing.
Yeah, you're all simultaneously doing the same thing.
Yes.
I'm finding that too, actually, that there's nothing there.
Okay. So that could just be a delay in the render. Let's make a note of that though, because if there's system resources that SOC needs to adjust, that's a possibility. Sure. For the moment, I think we just might need to be a little bit patient on that one.
August will be a busy month with everybody starting.
Yeah, it's about simultaneously doing the same thing as the trick, right? So yeah, but we'll find out how to increase. They do scale network resources. They probably weren't expecting to have to scale it for May 1st at 10 o'clock in the afternoon. So like, so we'll check on that. That's not it's not a problem. And Wendy has a question.
That's okay. I was just talking about the same thing because it started circling and circling and it wouldn't
gotcha.
work with either of them. So I'm good.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you.
And you're back, Helena.
Okay, so I think we're just going to continue through and use. Yeah.
Sorry, Helena, I have a second question. I'm not sure whether this is the spot to ask a question. I received email from Pratima about dormant and inactive athletes. Is this where this would be addressed under enrollment details?
No, I think we're going to take that offline. Enrollment details is the details for the current athlete that you would be adding. And if an athlete was dormant, you can still access them and add them. So yeah, but when we're talking about dormant or expired athletes and volunteers, this isn't the actual spot to do it until maybe at the end if there's time for a question like that. But that is something you can continue to work with Pratima with.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
One thing to mention, if you are finding that these are the 10 dormant athletes or volunteers and they should be on the current session, that is the 2021. If you will add them, this issue will be gone. Add them in the current session, the dormant will become active. That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll continue on just as if, you know, we'll do our best just with the screenshots within the presentation. So we've submitted for a volunteer. We've now just submitted for an athlete. There's a small side note here that if you selected an athlete or volunteer in error or have selected a role for that member in error, do not click submit. And they can just hang there, just close the window. And then on your menu, in your pink menu, you'll see an in-progress enrollments option. You can go in and visit all of your in-progress enrollments, which are there because they never got to the point of being submitted. So you can delete them at that point, and go back and restart it again. So if you had, if you entered an athlete as a volunteer, or if you entered a volunteer in the wrong role, or whatever, or you entered an athlete that wasn't supposed to be coming, you can delete that. Okay. So here we are. We've submitted our enrollments. Were there any questions about submitting enrollments? I'll take that as we'll move forward. So once your enrollments are submitted, you have to approve them, because there are some situations where athletes or volunteers can self-enroll for the programs. So your assistant coach has a profile, has an account in the portal. They can come in and they can say, I want to join my Alpine Ski Club my program that's going to be starting next month. So they can put their name in and submit their name. You, as the head coach or as a data administrator or community coordinator, you can, or team manager, you can approve that. If there's athletes that you've told all of your athletes, I'd like you to submit your enrollments for the 5-pin bowling, and the first 20 that are received are the ones that will get in, and everyone else will be on a waiting list. So you can go in and you can approve the first 20 to be part of that program. So again, so when existing members self-enroll for programs, they need to be approved. When the head coach, team manager, data admin, or community coordinator add an athlete or add a volunteer, just like we just did, we still have to go in and approve it. It's a 2-step process. Okay. If you have an existing member from your program that is being added, you can approve it. If somebody comes in that has not been with your program, that's for the data administrator or community coordinator. There are 2 windows when you go into approvals, and we'll see that in a moment. One is chapter approvals, one is community approvals. The chapter approvals is for Special Olympics Ontario, otherwise known as Farkanda, to approve those new athletes. She's going to make sure that there's no duplication in the system in case they maybe already have a profile. So she's going to approve them. With new volunteers, they can't be approved until all of their registration requirements are met. We know that our volunteers need their references checked, they need to submit their police check and vulnerable sector screening, and once that has all been received, then we let Farkanda know, and she can put them straight to active into their role as per the community's instructions. So John Smith is coming, he's going to be an Alpine coach, and his references are checked, and he uploaded his own police check into his own profile at the portal, and we let Farkanda know that, and she makes John Smith an assistant coach with the Alpine ski team. Okay, so that's how that sort of rolls. So now we're going to approve some enrollments. So we go back to our role landing page. We have our pink menu, and there is a menu option for approve enrollments. So we're going to click approve enrollments. we'll see those two windows here. Enrollments requiring community approval is at the top. Enrollments requiring region or chapter approval is below. But here as a head coach, I just put in Jaron Rothenberg and James Taylor as athletes to the program, to the upcoming new session. And so I need to approve them. And so for the first one, I'm going to click on the edit pencil beside the name, and this will open their enrollment details window. Here's the enrollment details window, and you'll see the name at the top, and you'll see that he's going to be enrolled in the snowcat snowshoeing for the appropriate session. And you can change his status from submitted. You're going to change it to approved. And then you can scroll down and you can submit that approved enrollment. If they came halfway through the session, you might want to update that. Instead of starting on September 1st, they came in February, you could put February 14th. That's when they started. And so that's a bit truer reflection of when that member started. You can update that and click submit. Okay. So that approval, that athlete or volunteer, they will become active at midnight because there's a daily system refresh. So when you come back tomorrow, Jaron Rothenberg will no longer be approved. He will now be active. You do need to monitor the approvals tab if you are asking your members to register on their own, or if you want to monitor for incoming volunteer registrations, which sometimes come in without us knowing. There is no automated update function. So you are expected to come in to the portal on a regular basis to check for new members or existing members coming to putting in for their new programs. If you do not have a lead portal user in your community or for your club, then make sure that you're keeping in good contact with your program consultant, and they can check for incoming for you. Okay, so again, you have your you've submitted your enrollments, you've submitted your coaches, you've submitted your athletes. Then you can come in and you can click approvals, and you can change their status to approved. It's recommended that you submit enrollment, and then come back and do approvals. That's the rhythm that I find works best. And unless you're doing one or two at a time, but if you're doing, if you have a golf team and you know that you just want to, do the 4 coaches and 12 athletes on your own without a duplication, without bulk entry, this is a quick and easy way to, half an hour of your time to do that, as long as there aren't 50 other people doing the same thing. So, are there any questions about enrollment approvals?
Joan Henry has her hand up. Joan, if you want to unmute your microphone.
Sorry about that. When I was adding participants, I probably missed that. So I cannot add new participants, right? I have to click what's already listed.
Yeah, so if you have a brand new athlete or either a brand new athlete to Special Olympics, or an athlete from another club in your community who wants to join your program, if you are in as a head coach, you're not able to select them and add them to your program. So they will either have to submit their enrollment themselves or with the help of their support person, or your data administrator in your community can choose Jane McDonald from basketball to join the golf club and put their name there, and then you can approve them. But for the submitting the enrollment, it has to be an athlete who's already been in your club if you're a head coach or team manager.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
One more question. When you said new, that means that new is brand new, that is never registered in our database, or it is registered in the community?
Joan, were you talking? If it's
I was just- yeah, I had to find my mic again, sorry. Yes, I was looking at adding a new person. I'm just playing with the program as well. And when I clicked on adding a new person, it didn't let me, so that's why the. So
Okay.
you've answered perfectly, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any other questions about approving enrollments? Okay. So we'll go
Sorry,
on.
just
James,
one sec.
yeah.
Karen Maloney from Durham.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, it's a broader topic than the portal, but I wonder if James, you can speak to any athlete can apply to become a member of a club, but before they're approved, I'll just give an example here in Durham 3 years ago. We had an athlete allegedly recruited from an Ajax team by an Oshawa team. Okay. And we had to create a policy and procedure, but that's kind of only, information for people that were around at the time. Yeah. I'm just wondering if maybe Sue could send something out to all community coordinators on that topic.
So are you talking about like if somebody gets transferred to another community? I mean, that's a little bit different because you're internal within one community, right? So, but if you're saying that if somebody registers for a team, like say in Brampton, but they're also part of a team in Etobicoke, right? Like, what would the procedure be? Is that's what you're asking?
Right, and it could be within the community, or it could be from community to community.
Yeah. So the truth is those are business rules, not really ones that the database can like legitimately manage, right? And so in theory, an athlete can put themselves in to register wherever they choose to register. Like in theory, that's how the system would work, right? But but there also needs to be a bit of an understanding. Now, if somebody moves, and for Ken, you're gonna have to check me on this one, but if somebody is joining another program, right? We generally say that there needs to be a bit of a handshake, if you will, where if somebody is transferring from one team to another team, like as a competitive item, right? But that's more of a business rule. Like we've got to actually catch that, and so that's got to almost be part of if somebody has been an existing athlete, right? Like I don't think the receiving team can necessarily see in the athlete's profile all of the teams that they're part of. If I'm not mistaken, that's correct, right, for Canada?
One thing to mention,
Yeah.
there are two things. The enrollment of an athlete within a community in different programs. For example, maybe she's talking about if the community has two basketball programs. Correct. And this athlete is in one basketball and want to move in the other. So that is the business rule of the community. Correct. What they have done, they have to take permission from the head coaches or data admins or whoever the officials are. So that is their internal policy. The other policy is our true policy that if an athlete is able to register in anywhere in Ontario when athlete or volunteer is doing self-enrollment. So when an athlete from Burlington try to register in the Durham, that enrollment will be having will end up in the chapter approval window, not in the community approval window. So there is a restriction. So at that point, if myself or the district developer will not approve, the community will never approve that member. So that is a check and balance in our database. Because I know that moving one athlete from one community to another, there is a rule that there should be approval from the district developer or higher authority.
Yeah, and there is an outside community policy. It is a policy. Yes. I know in Central Ontario, I somehow refer to it quite often, that you can participate in one club in that sport in your own community, and there's reasons for going outside of your community. The district developer program consultant will help the head coaches on both sides understand the reason for this switch, whether it's because there's not that sport or there is that sport, but there's a reason to go to the other community. All that comes out, but what it comes down to is that they can't automatically be approved by the incoming community. Yeah. So the district developer program consultant will have that conversation. So hopefully that helps a little bit, Karen. And thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you very much. If we could get that in writing, I just sent a note off to James. Thanks for Canada. That was a perfect explanation. And if James, all community.
Yeah, you know what we'll do? We'll add that for Canada. Let's put that into the FAQs and operating procedures for the database. That's not a problem.
I'll do it.
One quick piece about this: where can we record that it has been gone through an approval process? Let's say that happens, because as we move in roles, there could be those questions that resurface for an athlete that has been given the approval.
To be honest, again, that would almost be an internal thing. I mean, in theory, you could put it as a note, but that note's not going to carry from one to the other. Just because somebody's been approved, to join a specific program doesn't mean that that approval is blanket, right? And that could easily be misconstrued, right? Yeah. But in fairness, Duncan, like what Farcanda's describing would happen every time, right? So it's which is fine. That's actually what you want, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully that's a good discussion on enrollments. We'll go on to the next topic, which is reports. And again, we can create club and community membership reports to be used as contact lists, attendance lists, any other reason you need a report of your members for. You can view them on your screen. You can download and save them for sharing or printing. And something like Excel, if you save it in Excel, you can use you can delete columns, sort it the way you want to, that kind of thing. So there's a report inside the portal, and once you bring it out to yourself, you can customize it the way you want to see it. So let's create some reports. I don't know if those of you are able to follow along. I've given up on being inside the portal at the moment, so hopefully these screenshots will continue to do some justice to what you're looking to do. So again, you're back at your role landing page. You've got your blue menu and your pink menu. You have the option under the pink menu for membership reports, and you're just going to simply click that. There are several reports listed here that you can explore on your own time and see what those do for you. For right now, we're going to explore report number 13, which is your all members report detail. And this is probably one that's going to be the most useful most of the time. So when you click on report number 13, there's a number of fields that you're going to complete. You're going to remind what region you're in, your community, the club that you're going for. And then for enrollment status, if you include active and approved, because maybe you approved all your athletes an hour ago and you don't want to wait until tomorrow to make your report, you can include active and approved as your enrollment status, and only the current members will be included. And if you open up that enrollment status, you can have expired members if you want to see the entire history. That creates quite a big database if you're a 5-pin bowling club that's been around for 40 years. So typically you'll have active and approved. Your participant type, I can't open that right now, but I think that would, if you only want volunteers, if you only want athletes or partners. Okay,
no,
so
this is participant type is you want unified as well or only the athletes? Because currently we have selected all. So we can select anyone, through athlete, unified partner, or the potential. So
right,
this is
okay.
Yeah.
And in 99% of the times, it's just going to bring up your athletes because that's all you have anyway. So we'll just leave that where it is. And So the two options you have for exporting your spreadsheet, you can look at it. HTML just means it's coming up on your screen. So perhaps you're, you're on the road, you just want to give a quick look to find out something about someone because, the coach binder is across, in the other gym with your head coach. So you can just go in and look at an HTML on your screen and simply just glance at it and just swipe around, or you can export it to an Excel spreadsheet, again, that you can save on your hard drive and be able to open up in Excel on your computer and play around with that spreadsheet. And I didn't include an example of what that looks like, but it's, the person's name, their SO number, their date of birth, their, some medications, things like that will all be in there because that's a pretty robust report. So are there any questions about creating reports? And again, I invite you to please click around, play around in those membership reports and see if there's one that you prefer over number 13, or if you like report number 13, how you can customize it for your own use in your club.
Elena?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, when I'm hitting sports and enrollment status, it says none selected and it won't open up.
And you're in report 13 as a golf or alpine coach?
Yep, golf right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I hit sports, nothing happens. I hit the participant and change that to athlete. And then when I hit enrollment status, it says none selected.
You have to select by default, each report, enrollment status is active and approved. By default, you can add or remove. If I'm not sure why both statuses are not selected, you have to select them now because there will be check boxes. You will be able to select any status for the enrollment.
Okay.
I think sometimes when we're looking to filter, sometimes we try to over filter. Like back when I was talking about when you come in at the home page of the portal and you look at programs and you want to see what Milton has, if you put and you think that you want to look up the Milton Snow Dogs Alpine, if you put the sport of Alpine and you put that that they're on Wednesday nights, sometimes that's not going to work because the filter doesn't show them on Wednesday nights because their schedule hasn't been created. So sometimes you just have to not over filter what you're looking for. So region, community, club, and just leave the rest of them as it is. Active and approved is the default. Leave the sports because it's only going to come up what the snowshoers do, which is snowshoeing, or what the golfers do is golfing, right? So just try not to over filter because sometimes that's where you actually might not see something because you've used too many filters for what the system wants to see, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And my submit button's not working on that either, Helena. So I don't know if that's just because it's not showing athletes in there.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and
one tip. I would suggest please do not touch the filter sports and the participant type. These these are selected by default. That is default. And by default, active and approved. First, try to full report without changing any filter. You will get the report.
Nope.
Make sure your region is correct, your community is correct, and you have selected the correct club. And even if it doesn't have any member, you will get a blank report.
Yeah. You and I, Anne, can go over this afterwards because I'm not sure.
And it sounds like Wendy too.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
And Tracy.
Oh, and Tracy.
I'm not getting any reports either. Like I hit submit and nothing happens.
So I'm in as a head coach for the Snow Striders, and I'm going for Excel. I think the system's, oh, no, none selected. Hold on.
Yeah, but
I think it's a system thing because we're all getting the same thing.
Yeah.
And I've been
Yeah.
able to get these reports before, and it takes some time to
Thank
build.
you.
So
Thank you. I think the system, yeah, doesn't
Is
like
in
it.
overload.
Maybe
Well, there's
that.
something going on there.
Yeah. So again, take this back, practice it, you know, in your own time when we're not all on it together, and please come back to myself or to your program consultant with your questions on these topics. So yeah. So apart from the fact that I can't get a report list either right now. So
Me too. Me too. It is so slow. I have selected the submit. It got blue, but still it is waiting. It will take some time because currently I think almost 50 people are running the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's good feedback, actually, to know that there's a capacity on that. So, so your
Yep.
patience for everyone is very much appreciated. We are past the 90 minutes, but I do want to go over attendance, which is our next item, because it has to do specifically as an outcome of COVID, the pandemic, doing contact tracing, which is now part of our vocabulary, and so. Let's go through the rationales behind attendance and how we can track it in the portal. Head coaches and team managers, and I understand that assistant coaches can also do this. So if you have a coach, if you as a head coach or team manager are quite busy and you have an assistant coach who's good with their computer skills, ask them to do this. They can track the attendance in the membership portal. It's an important factor for contact tracing as during a pandemic, as we've just suggested. But also attendance records, we all know that there's a binder with some check marks somewhere. But if we needed to have some concrete example of athletes who are attending practices for competition rosters or determining athlete eligibility for advancement, and we need to know that they've been attending consistently so that they can, you know, be eligible to move on should they be selected. This is something where it can be stored and tracked, and you know, it's not just in the binder in the trunk of somebody's car. You can take attendance. You can take it on paper at the practice, and then come home, and as you're, you know, maybe before next week or after this week's practice, you can come into the portal and actually track it and put in your check marks. Okay. So among the membership reports available in the portal, when you look down the membership reports, there's an attendance report. And what that produces is a list of all the active members in your club, athletes and volunteers. And there's also columns for your COVID screening. So you can print that report each week and bring it with you. Check it off during practice, put it in your binder. So you do have it for immediate reference. It's and then, you know, you have it as a hard copy, and then you come home and you put it into the portal with these instructions. So let's track attendance. So again, on your right-hand side, under your enrollments, under your approvals, above your membership reports is a menu option of attendance. So we're just going to simply click attendance. And as we had with our sessions, there's windows of here you have your pending attendance records, and below that is your complete attendance records. So there's an add button. So we're going to add a new attendance record. So when the window opens for attendance, you can fill in the fields and then press save. So you're going to tell who took attendance, what the session is, which is the session date rather. So this is a little confusing. It's the session date and time is that actual practice, which, you know, in this screenshot example was January 30th. I entered it and it was entered today. And I don't think you can change that. So once you enter that very simple information, you can click save. Okay, and then you're going to scroll down, because when you hit save, it's going to bring up everyone in your club who are currently enrolled in that club session. So you're going to scroll down, further down, and in your attendance detail, you've got a number of names, and you're going to indicate a check mark for everyone who attended. If you have perfect attendance, you just click the one check mark above all the check marks and they'll all check. But you probably will have some people missing, so you can go check, 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 check for everyone who is there. And then you're going to click edit, because you're going to edit the attendance status for everyone who you've check marked. And then the next little window that comes up, the edit is going to bring you to whether or not they attended. So you say, yes, they attended, because that's what you're indicating is those who attended that practice. So when we come back to the screen after you press yes and submit, we'll see under the attended column that yes, the first 3 members attended, then the next person didn't, and the next athlete did. So you've got the ones who have attended. That's great. If you have some parents who have attended that practice, and or if you have some officials or some extra clinician, something like that, you can add a non-club member. And when you click add, you can enter in their information. What is their name? What is their role? You can put some notes there and say that they attended. So this actual attendance, I do take attendance at our weekly virtual sessions for the Barrie Snow Sports. And we do have a program leader who's a friend of a volunteer, and he has attended every week, and we like to know that he's there. So we're noting him in our attendance. Even though it's a virtual program, we're still tracking the attendance. And then so this non-member information, you click submit, and they're also going to be added to the list below. So now you think that all of the members that you should be reflected as having attended, then you're going to change your record status a little bit higher up in the attendance information. You're going to change the status to complete. Your attendance record is now complete, and you are going to save and close that attendance record. And then the attendance record will be reflected in the completed attendance records, and you can access that and look at it, but it can't be changed anymore. So that is attendance tracking within the portal. I think it's pretty slick. Yes, it's a few minutes more of your time each week as you're managing your club, but it is a good place to do this, and important at this point with contact tracing, because then Special Olympics Ontario can also access that if we need to help you with any outcomes from contact tracing. Are there any questions about tracking attendance?
So we just have a couple of questions here. The first was Sheila. Is this documented in the help sheets? Do we have a documentation for the attendance function yet for Canada?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do. Okay, perfect. Sorry, Farcanda's already answered the question about report number 13, so that's already in there. I think that's it. Does anybody else have any questions? No.
Okay. I'm gonna on. These are just some good to know items, and then after that we can open it up for any broader questions or anything that we didn't cover that you might like a quick answer to. We talked a lot about here and there about different status of our members. So here's a quick list of different status that our members can have. So if you're active, you're currently involved in that session, you're added, you're good to go, nothing further to do. Approved means that the member has been accepted and welcomed into the program, and overnight will change to active. Canceled, if you have a member who left halfway through the season, you can go into that member's profile, which we haven't covered today, but it's something you can do. You can go into their profile, click on the pencil, and you can change their status to canceled and put the end date. So you might want to say that they left the bowling program in March because they moved, and so we're just going to indicate them canceled, and instead of leaving the end date till August 31st, we'll put the date that they left. Expired happens at the end of the session. So on August 31st, John Smith in the Alpine team, he's a coach, he's expired from that session. But on September 1st, he's going to be active again in the new session. If you added an enrollment in error, you can actually delete it and it'll disappear, but only use this when it was completely done in error. Don't delete John Smith because he moved. You just you cancel him, but for something that should not be there, then that can be deleted. We talked a little bit about our in progress status, is that their enrollment was started, but it never, the submit button was never clicked. So it's sort of in limbo a little bit. And sometimes those are ones that you started and thought, oh, I think I did that wrong, and you left. Or the athlete came in and started something themselves and didn't click submit at the end as well. So they still are in there. And again, you have a menu option to visit your in progress enrollments and tidy those up. Submitted is submitting an enrollment, which we did today. The head coach, team manager, data admin can do that to submit an enrollment, or the person themselves can submit their enrollment. Suspended is when or terminated. Those are different status because likely something happened where a member had to be removed for a reason for a set time. And for those kinds of status, please do work with your program consultant to make sure that that Special Olympics Ontario is aware of any situations that could grow. That's important. And the question was just asked about, is this information available in the documentation? Yes. We do have, if you go to specialolympicsontario.com/support and look there, there's a button called portal, and there's all sorts of articles, and you can use the search bar. And if you just type in status, this article that talks about status will come up. If you type in attendance into the search bar, the article on attendance instructions will come up. Here's a few little did you knows. When members are added to a sport club session, they take on the start and end dates of that session. So I keep the, this poor John Smith is our, example forever. He comes in February, but he was added and his dates weren't changed. So he's actually looking like he's active from September 1st to August 31st. So you can change the start date of a volunteer. But when volunteers are added at the community level, maybe they have a council role, maybe they're an occasional volunteer, maybe they are a signatory for the community's financial account. When you add a volunteer to the community level, and club coaches and team managers, head coaches, team managers won't be doing this, but data admins or community coordinators might do this. When you add a volunteer to the community level, their start and end date is not indicated, and you might approve them, but they're going to sit and approve. They'll never turn active because they don't have a start and end date. So if there's anyone on this session today who will be adding a volunteer to the community level, please make sure to add their start date, like today, and put in an end date that is appropriate for that role, perhaps 2 years forward. But we're always going to use the end dates. Let's all say it together, August 31st every year. And then somebody asked a question earlier about dormancy. When does a member become dormant? So if a member has not had an enrollment for a full year, they become dormant. And then after the second year, they will become inactive. So we said we wouldn't talk too much today about dormant status, and we won't. But if you do have volunteers and athletes who are currently dormant because maybe they were missed being added to a session, please add them to the session. And you can reach out to your program consultant, your district developer, and ask them to provide you with the dormant volunteers list. They have been created. We've been busily trying to go through them and catching and saving all the volunteers and athletes and bringing them back in so that they don't become inactive. It's important for statistics and for their status to maintain that. I think this is the second last slide. Special Olympics Ontario's online resources support site, and at the bottom of this screen, you'll see it's specialolympicsontario.com/support. There are articles, there are forums, there are frequently asked questions about any aspect of the portal. When new tasks are added, tracking the release forms is one of them, the COVID release forms. There are instructions on that at the /support site, okay? If you have questions about membership maintenance in the portal, please go to your program consultant first. We love Farkanda, and Farkanda will answer every question that comes to her. But there is a lot that Farkanda is involved with within Specialist Ontario and also nationally with portal development. So she's there for advanced troubleshooting. But if you do have some more basic tasks that you're just not sure of, please go to your program consultant. If you're a head coach or a team manager, chances are that you have a database administrator in your own community actually as well, who is probably pretty savvy on the portal and can also, help you work through things. So yeah, there's lots of support there, and please use it for sure. Thank you not only for coming today, but for your work in maintaining your community or club's membership, because it's super important to maintain it. And the reason that we brought the portal to the community level greater than it was with the previous database is that to give it to your hands. We had desire from volunteers. We had a desire expressed to have that level of hands-on. And again, my first slide was it's been a learning process all the way along for all of us, and we hope that it is becoming the tool that it was intended to be.